All right, so in preparation for interviews and mock interviews and things of that nature, let's go back all the way to week 5 and let's talk about HTTP methods. What does HTTP stand for?
Hypertext Transfer Protocol.
Perfect. What are the big methods that you use in HTTP? What are HTTP methods?
Get, post.
Yeah.
Put, patch.
Put, patch.
And
Starts with a D.
delete.
Delete. All right. So you're saying words. What are HTTP methods overall, though?
They are ways to get and receive or destroy information.
Kind of. It's not false. It's not false. Put, patch. Anybody else? What are HTTP methods? Not what are they, because we have them up here, but what do they do?
Client server communications.
Or task to the server.
They send tasks to the server. John K., you had something?
Client server communications.
Yep, it's basically how does your particular client, your Google Chrome or your Internet Explorer, how does it talk with the server living on like Facebook.com or something? So these are the verbs that your browser can do and the server can do back to you. So what's a GET request?
Get request is it's a request from the server for information.
Yeah, it's a request to the server for information, right? Like I want to get something. I go to google.com. I'm not sending over any information. I'm just saying, hey, Google, give me the home page. Give me all the content for the home page and I'll build it on my screen. So anytime that I go to codeplatoon.org or something like that, I'm not sending any information to Code Platoon saying like, this is who I am, et cetera, et cetera. It's probably doing that. But what I'm actually doing is saying, I'm making a GET request to Code Platoon and saying like, hey, Code Platoon, like give me all the information that you have about yourself. That's a GET request. Next, what's a POST request? And give me an example of a POST request.
It's where you send information to the server.
Yep.
So for example, if you fill out a form, you'll send information in those fields.
Perfect, yeah. So GET, I'm just getting information. Posting, I'm sending information over. What about put and patch? So I've got getting, I've got sending, put and patch. Delete is easy. I'm just deleting something. You don't even need to go over that.
Isn't put and patch like, is it pretty much the same thing like when you're like working with like a database type? Yeah.
So all of these I'm dealing with database in some way, right? Get, I'm just sending, I'm asking for a certain information to come back. Post, I'm sending information to be put inside the database. Put and patches for updating. So something already exists there. I just want to I want to update that already existing thing. And then we have delete as well. So when we've kind of become familiar with the fetch method inside of JavaScript, we've been doing this quite a bit. I make a fetch request to this particular URL. And then when it gives me some sort of response, I'm going to turn it into JSON. And then if anything blows up, I'm going to console log that error out. This is an example of a GET request. I'm just getting information. So I could just do console.log this whole thing. This whole fetch request right here is just a GET request. So if I open up the console here on the right side, whoops. I'm asking it to give me some sort of information. I don't know why it's not turning into something. Okay. So again, this particular fetch request, I'm just asking for information. Sometimes though, if we want to send information, we use what's called a POST request. And the way that that looks like inside of here is this section of what we've got. So again, what we've got here, this is just a GET request using fetch, and this is going to be a POST request using fetch as well. So it's largely the same, but there are a few additional things. So we've got that fetch request. The first thing that comes up is the URL. Where am I sending this information to? Where am I getting this information from? Then we have headers. And we talked about headers a long time ago, but there are certain, like humans are very intuitive. So if I walk up to somebody, remember the example where I walk up to Michael and I got a big smile, I put my hand out, like there's nonverbal communication going on there. Similarly, if I have my fist clenched and a really sour look on my face, like he's also picking up on that because humans can figure out nonverbal communication. But computers cannot do that. They're very, very stupid. Right? They can do things much faster than you and I, but they're not as smart as you and I. Yet. We don't know. I don't know. So in order to make any sort of request to a computer, you have to tell it literally everything that needs to know. So when I make a post request, I also have to pass in headers, method, and body. Headers is basically telling them like, this is kind of what request is coming through. This is what I'm sending over. So like just because, so I can walk up to Ed, I put my hand out, and he knows that like it's a sign of friendship and like, you know, peace. If I come up like to Ed like this, he knows it's a sign of aggression. Computers do not know that. You need to pass it in. Like, so I was saying like, this is what I'm passing in. I'm passing in JSON. The method I'm sending over is going to be a post, and the body of what I'm sending over is going to be the JSON version of this article object. This article object, we've got a title, byline, and abstract, and this is the way that I make a post request. Again, the URL, headers, what am I sending over? The method, what kind of request am I sending? And then the body, what am I sending over at the very end? So we're going to move on to news site 5. We're going to move on to news site number 5. And with that kind of knowledge, we're going to just move over a few things. So I've got the completed news site number 4 from last week. I'm going to grab the entire source folder and paste it in over here. I've already run npm install, so we're good to go. And all I've got to run at this point is npm start to start my server. This might take 20 minutes, so I'll see you later. Just kidding. What is next? Localhost. That's going to load up. So in news site number 5, as we're waiting for everything to load up today, we've got 2 things. First thing, we want to add an article. We want to add a page and the ability to add an article to the site. And in order to add an article, we have to use what kind of request? A post request, because I'm sending over information. And I'm just going to stub out a login page. So I'm going to create 2 pages. One page is to add an article. We're going to have that full functionality built in. And the other one's just a simple stubbed out login page. So I did this initial setup over here. And we're going to build a function with Articles API that we can use to send data. But before we do that, we're going to just take this example and just paste it inside of our JavaScript console. So as you can see right now, we have a whole list of articles. You go down to the bottom. The last one is this article about Trump and the One China policy. Clear out the console here. I'm just going to paste in what we've got. Again, we're making a fetch request, and this is the way that JavaScript and React specifically talks to outside URLs. We're going to make a request to localhost 3001/API/articles with all of this with all of this information. Let's see what happens. So something blows up. It says article object is not defined. What does that mean? Like I did something wrong here.
It looks like you passed in a variable article object, and they're looking for it, but there's no definition.
Yeah, it looks like right over here on the body JSON.stringify article object. I didn't define article object, but I think it's right over here. So I created a constant called article object with the title of test and the byline of byline test and abstract of ASDF. When I run this whole thing one more time, returns me a promise, and after it resolves, the promise again is like, I promise that I've acknowledged you. Kind of like I go to the dry cleaners, I drop off my clothes. I don't wait there for my clothes to be finished. They give me a receipt. That's their promise of saying, I will clean your clothes and they will be ready at this particular time. You don't need to just stand there the whole time. So if all goes well, I can refresh this page over here. Remember the last one said Trump's talking about the one China policy. I go all the way down to the bottom, and there's that test thing that we were talking about. When I click on it, had byline tests and ASDF. So I'm able to use that particular method. This one found right over here. This one found right over. This one found right over here. I can use that in order to post new things into my database. With that, we're going to go back over here, and I say, let's take a look at what they want. So the first thing is that they want an add article page. Where do I start? Like, I want to create a link, probably in the nav bar up here, for add an article. Which file do I open up in order to handle the navigation bar? I'll get you started. It's somewhere in source. Got it right. It's components, and then which one? App nav. So remember, each individual, there are many different components on this particular page. There's a navigation bar up here. There's a search bar. There's an article list. There's a home page component. So each individual page is made up of many different individual components. So we're inside of application navigation, and I'm just going to add another URL for /add an article. So I'm just going to copy this thing right here. I think there's one called pull right, and I'm just going to create a quick link, and I believe they've given it to us inside of here. No, I'll just copy and paste here. All right, so we've got a UL, unordered list, with one list object inside of it, which just takes me to /add article. If all goes well, I'll come back over here. It'll automatically refresh because it detects something has changed. And there we go. We have this /add an article. And if you hover and take a look at the bottom left-hand corner, it says /add article. I click on this and it doesn't do anything because we don't know what path that is. So all we've done so far, we've just added one particular link. Which component holds all of the routes? Again, which component holds all of the routes?
It's going to be in the pages.
Nope.
Your config.
Nope. It's
It
not.
should be on our index page.
It's not an index. What's the main entry point? Which JavaScript file is the main app? So when we go inside of app.js, you can kind of see here's all of the router. Inside of browser router, this is the thing that handles all of the routes. Looks like we need to add in one more route for this particular /add article. So somebody tell me what to type. I want to add in one more route. Caret.
Route. Exact path.
Mhm.
Is equal to /
Mhm.
and then whatever that was. Get that article.
Right.
And then component. And then we'll set the component equal to whatever.
Yeah, we'll call it like add article page or something. You can name this literally whatever you want. Just because we want to be descriptive, we'll call it add article page. Am I good to go into creating that particular component, or am I missing something?
Well, we can go ahead and just do the import now, even though we don't have
Yep. Because I'm using a component here, and it doesn't exist within this particular page, I need to import it. So import add article page from /pages /add article page.js. All right. From here, I want to create this actual component. It says that I have says module not found. Looks like we need to actually create that particular page. So we've got article page, home page, and section page. Create a new file called add article page.js. And for now, I'm just going to copy and paste it from homepage. Just take all of this garbage from here and paste it inside of here. Now, there's a few things I need to probably take away. I'm just going to take away everything that I don't need immediately, just to have something. This is no longer called homepage, but it's the add article page. And I'm not going to have a constructor or component did mount. I'm not going to have a handle search. I'm just going to have a render that says add article page. Then I'll get rid of all of this stuff as well. So just to recap all the steps we've taken so far. Number one, we've added a link inside of our navigation bar. So it looks like that. When I click on it, it takes me to app.js. I created an extra route called /add_article. The component that handles that is the add article page. I created the add article page, and all it's doing is returning this particular thing. And just to make sure that I'm on the right page, I'm just going to add the number 123 to it. This will automatically refresh add article page 123. So it looks like it works. I'm on the business section. I'm on national and world. I can go to /add an article, and I'm on this particular page. Let's see what they asked me to do next. So it looks like I need to, first looks like I need to create a form that has a title, byline, and abstract. So I have to fill that all out, and then when I submit it, it's going to make an API call to the actual database. Just for the sake of time. Just for the sake of time, I'm going to get rid of all of this and just paste this in. This is an old solution that I have. I believe all the spacing looks good, and we'll just kind of figure some stuff out. We'll get rid of this for right now. So I've created a form, and I'm using React Bootstrap's form group control label and form control, just to make it look a little bit nicer, and in case that I start submitting things by accident and things are required, then it'll control things for me. So there's a few errors that pop up right away, and let's take a look at what they are and figure it out. So it says form group is not defined, control label is not defined, form control is not defined. It looks like we're using a whole bunch of libraries that are outside of this particular file. So it looks like I need to import all of those. Import form group, control label, form control, and button. And these all come from React Bootstrap. Since I've saved it, hopefully this updates, it's compiling, it'll hopefully say compiled successfully, and there's no problems. So when I go back onto this page, I have that title, byline, and abstract. So I have this ability to actually add an article. And everyone kind of follow with that? I just created a blank Bootstrap thing. The next thing I need to handle is when I hit submit, it has to do something. So what event handler handles the submit?
On click?
It's not on click.
Click handler. Click handler.
We can call it click handler, but what is the given JavaScript? So it's like when I click on something, it's on click. There's a method, yeah. So when I submit something, it's going to be
Post.
True. All right, so it is on submit. So this is a built-in JavaScript method for us. So I'm just going to do on submit. I'm just going to do this.handle submit .bind this. I know I'm going to need to bind at one point, so I might as well just bind now. And all I'm going to do is I'm just going to have another method called handle submit. It's going to take in an event, and for now I'm just going to do event.prevent default because a form by default will post. And I'm just going to console log hello. Let's see, it's compiling. Please compile successfully. Everything looks good. I'm going to open up my console here on the right. I'm just going to start typing random things. When on submit, it'll prevent the default from happening, which is going to another page. It's just going to console log hello. Hopefully this works. We'll find out. Nope, does not work. Let's try it one more time. F. Submit does not work. Something is blowing up. Does anybody see what the issue
So you
is?
have to put it inside of the form tag on line 13 instead of doing it.
Yep. I put the on submit on the wrong place. My mistake. So the on submit goes inside the form and not the form group. The form group is just bootstrapped, just like for visualization purposes. So we'll try it one more time. You can kind of see before when I submitted it took me to the question mark and then it like redirected the whole page. It's not something that I want. So I'm here, just type in a bunch of stuff, press the submit button, it says hello, and it doesn't go anywhere. This is kind of what I want to see. So I know that whenever I hit the submit button, I'm at least hitting this particular method. I know I'm safe at that point.
Okay. Yeah.
So we want to create an object that looks something like this. It has a title, an abstract, and a byline inside of an object form. It looks like we can console log event.target.elements.value. So let's just take a look at what that is. So I'm just going to do console log event.target.elements and then each individual value. So I'm going to do 1, 2, and 3. If all goes well, I think it's going to match up with text, with the title, byline, and the abstract. So what I'll do, this is going to load up right here. I'm just going to do title, byline, abstract. I'm just going to add 1, 2, 3, just so we know exactly where it is. When I hit submit, I get title 1, 2, 3, byline 1, 2, 3, and abstract 1, 2, 3. So I do have access to all of the things that I typed in. With that, I'm going to create a object. I'm going to call it const article object. And I'm going to do title. I'll set it to this thing. I think it's byline. I'm going to set this to number 1. And then this is abstract. Set it to number 2. From here, so again, I've created a form. When I submit it, I'm going to prevent it from happening. I created an article object based off of the things that I've entered. And now I'm going to make a request to the articles API. But before then, I actually have to create that article API thing. So right now, I have the ability to fetch the articles by ID, section, and search all the articles. I also want to create one called const add article. It's going to take in some sort of article object. And then from there, it's going to make a request to the database, probably using this thing right over here. So I think I can just copy this all together, dump it inside of here. And I think I can just do return fetch, and all of this will just work. So I've created an add article. I've taken the code from the curriculum. I'm just going to add it to the export down here on the bottom. Add article equal to add article. Back onto the add article page, I need to import articles, article API. Let's see. We need to get to here, and we're inside of here. So we need to go up 1 level into the articles folder and then down into articles API. So from Up one level, API, articles, API.js. Just for the sake of time, I'm going to paste this in here. So once more, created my link inside the navigation bar, created my route inside of app.js, created the component itself over here. I created a form. When you submit the form, I have access to the title, byline, and abstract that the person typed in. It comes up here. I prevent the default from happening because a post generally will redirect you. I'm going to create an object and add that article object to the API. And I just copied and pasted the code from the curriculum just to put it here. Let's see if this works. What happened to my thing? The server has disconnected. Nope, it's still there. Real quick before we do anything, let's take a look at all the articles I have and scroll all the way down to the bottom. So you can kind of see this last one's test. Apples are great. Tasty 1, 2, 3. When I submit this, hopefully everything will work out, but if it doesn't, we'll find out. It'll either say successfully submitted or unsuccessfully submitted based on the response code that we get back. Nothing happens. Nothing happens, nothing happens, nothing happens. Let's take a look at what happened here. All right, it says, cannot read property status of undefined, cannot read property status of undefined. So I'm actually not getting a response back here. So there's probably something broken inside of this particular bit. Let's take a look. Articles API.js. I don't think I actually need this, actually. Let's see if this makes a difference. Apples, tasty, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, submit, successfully submitted. And it still just keeps me here on this particular page. When I go into new site, hopefully the last article that shows up on the bottom of the page is going to be the apples. So I do have apples. It looks like it's like 4 times because I kept submitting it. Got tasty 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I'll just do watermelon is better than apples. Successfully submitted. Right now it's not really doing anything. It just submits it and doesn't redirect me anywhere, which is probably something that I need to tackle next. Jump down to the bottom of the page. Watermelon, there's that most recent one that I just had added. So we're almost finished with this first half, and the second one's really easy. As of right now, when I hit submit, it's not redirecting me. So using our knowledge, how do we keep track if something is submitted? How do we redirect? Like, how do we know when to redirect?
On success, you push to history, and it's a failure, you either console log it or race an alert.
Yeah, we could do that. So we could do that. That's fine. Can you, I guess, just tell me how to do that?
I don't know the exact syntax for it, but there should be a success method that's built into. Oh, I see. Got response equals 200.
Yep.
Did that alert pop up?
Alert did pop up. Yeah.
Okay, so there should be one for just the common responses. I don't think for. I'm not sure which response would be the default for failed to submit. It would probably be 404.
Yeah.
Or some other. That one should raise an alert for. Specific error, I guess. status. You can probably push in whatever was the specific error message into the alert, or just say it's successfully submitted.
Sure. So John's idea is, which I do like, is based off of the response, I'm either going to redirect you to a certain page so that you can see the thing that you've added, or I'm going to redirect you back to the original page and say something blew up, and then refresh everything. So if the response status is 200, remember 200, you walk up to some person at a bar and you say, I'd like to buy you a drink, is yes. 303 is, let me introduce you to my friend Josh. 404 is 400, anything 400 is no. And then 500 is, it's not you, it's me, indigestion, whatever you want, internal server error. It's kind of like Amazon Prime Day when you try to buy something and it had a picture of the dog. Like that's a 500 status code because their servers were overloaded. Something with them was wrong. So that's one way of doing it. It's like right here I could do like this.history.props or something like .push. Another way that you could do it is this thing that I did here. I'm going to create a constructor. I'm going to take in some props. I'm going to super the props. I'm going to do this.state equals, I'm going to say redirect is going to be false, just to get started. If there's this 200 status code, I'm going to do this.set state. Redirect is true. And then down here inside the return, actually inside the render, I'm going to say all right, let's kind of break down what I've got right here, because this was kind of fun when I first had it. So by default, when you first enter the add article page, you're not going to redirect the person because they haven't actually added an article yet. Once they add an article, and if it's successfully added, like this response code equals 200, I'm going to set the state to redirect as true because at this point they have actually submitted successfully a new article. Inside the return here, I have this, we haven't seen this before, but this is called destructuring inside of JavaScript. So I've created a constant, and I created a constant called redirect. Redirect is the same thing, is the same name as this.state.redirect. That's why the curly braces are around it. So I'm destructuring this.state and creating redirect to equal this.state.redirect. It's this and these two lines are identical. These two lines are exactly the same thing. Just by putting the two curly braces around this is a concept called destructuring. It's just a small, you just type less code because you don't have to type this extra line. You just put curly braces around it.
There's a white space.
The white space, you can put the white space if you want to. I just think it looks nicer. So you can do it like this too. That's totally fine. I just think this one looks a little nicer, that's all. These two things are the same. This is destructuring. This is regular variable assignment. If the redirect is true, then I'm going to tell the browser to redirect me to the home page. Since I'm bringing in redirect over here, it looks like I need to import redirect as well. So I think import redirect, and it comes from React Router, if I'm not mistaken. So let's see, it compiles. Please compile successfully. Let's take a look. So we've got this add article page. I'm going to create a title. We'll say Catalytic is going to hire a Foxtrot. Submit. Something blows up. Type is invalid. Something I did blew up. the server real quick and we'll just start it up again. All right, we'll just create a random one. Submit. And nothing has happened. Let's take a look at the error message. I thought I put everything in correctly. So React create mill type is invalid. You likely forgot to export your component from the file it's defined in. Check your code at add article page JS line 39. Something is broken on line 39. I don't think so. Redirect comes from React router. Oh, whoops, that's all. Let's try it one more time. Refresh the page. Submit. So you can kind of see it switched it to true. It redirected me to the home page, and there's that gross thing that I just typed in for a brand new article. So that's a little bit about how to add an article. We're going to add one last thing for login, and then we should be good to go. So I want a page that shows a login. How do I do that using the same kind of like path that we took up to this point?
Go back to navigation.
Mm-hmm.
Add the link.
Yep, I think I'll put this so it's not pulled to the right. I'm gonna copy that, paste it down over here. So maybe I'll create one called login, and then tell me what to type.
Login.
Log in. What's next?
Then we can go ahead and go back to our app.js.
Yep. So if we refresh this page, you can kind of see add an article, and then we got the login page. There's no route that handles it, so we're just going to create another one. Call this login. The component's going to be login, and then I need to create a page called login. Next.
And you need to actually create the page.
Yeah, next thing. Like you were saying, create a login page. And then now what? I don't have it. Is it inside the curriculum? I don't. Nope, it's not there. We'll just grab everything from article page, and we're just stubbing it out. We're not doing anything with it quite yet. That's what we're going to handle tomorrow. So with that, I'm going to get rid of. I'll probably keep this here. Don't need these two things. Probably don't need a constructor because we're just showing a page. Don't need the handle submit button because we're not doing anything with that. And inside of here, I am just going to create a form for logging in. So maybe I'll create an H1 for a login page. I'll have a form that doesn't do anything for right now. And then I'm just going to have a email and password. Rename this from add article page to login page. And let's just see if this works. I've loaded up the main page. I'm going to hit login. Takes me here. I'm just going to start typing in random things. So I'm going to do a@b.com. And when I type in a password, can anyone read this? Nope, because our input type was called password. which automatically makes HTML formatted into a bunch of nonsensical characters. One last bit, and then we'll take a break before Catalytic comes in. We'll just have an on submit. This dot handle submit dot bind this. And then on the top here, we'll create an on submit. It's going.
Is
Yes, he is.
hey.
We'll finish. No problem. We'll finish this real quick. Handle submit takes an event. And I'm just going to console log event.target.elements.0.value, and then same thing with the first one as well. Let's see if this works. All right, so I have my email here and a password, submit, and I have access to the first thing, and then hack is my password. It's not very secure because it's not showing up, but I did get to console log it because that's what you typed in. Just kind of scary, but that is how easy it is to grab someone's password. All right, we'll take a break until 11 o'clock, and then Catalytic will be here.